helping keep modern Manx history alive.
Well, first of all, he was quite complimentary towards me, which I was glad to see, because certainly thus far the impression has been given that I'm based in the UK and that I don't understand the relationship between the Post Office and government and the situation in the Isle of Man, which is ridiculous, really, seeing as I've been representing them for over 10 years and have been a trustee of their pension scheme for 10 years. But I think Alan Crowe cleared that up when he said that he'd worked with me on the pensions and we'd worked well together, which we have for a number of years, which is why it's so sad, really, that this is the first time that we can recall having a ballot for industrial action, after enjoying good relationships. Sometimes been difficult, but we've always managed to resolve our differences. The other quite enlightening fact, I thought, was the reference to the fact that the Isle of Man Post Office can make its own decisions, that it's not subject to the dictate of government, which all the way through these talks, that's what we've been led to believe. So that was a bit of a surprise as well.
Where do you go, though, from here? Because obviously they did sound like they weren't going to move.
Well, I mean, there's no way, this is a genuine grievance. We believe we've got an absolute, good reason to progress our grievance. We had an agreement in 2009. The agreement in 2009, we responded at that time to the financial situation because it was around then as well. We took a below inflation pay rise. And we did that as well because it was part of a package that secured a final salary pension scheme for our members. So we understood there and we was mature and adult about that and came to a reasonable agreement. But in that agreement, we made it absolutely clear, both parties, that we were working together for continuing success. And if it proved that the business did go on to be successful, even despite the crippling financial situation around the world, not just in the Isle of Man, that our members would share in that success. Now, it's beyond debate that we were successful, more profits than the year previous. The government increased the contribution from 45 to 50% of our profits. Also, by the way, took $2.5 million from the company's reserves as well. So a good contribution to the government and the pressures that it's under in the Isle of Man. And none of us are complaining about that. If that helps schools and education, nursing, national health, then obviously we're comfortable with that. But it's still 50% of the profits that are there, and we should have a share of that. And up until now, we've been given the impression that the only reason we can't isn't because the company wouldn't agree that with us, but because there's a government diktat on the public sector pay freeze.
We're just a couple of weeks away from the Manx budget. The pressures are looking severe that there's going to be more cutbacks. I mean, you can see what is happening here. If they give in that, if I use that word, the right way, if they give in to your demands, it could open the doors for an awful lot more trouble ahead.
Well, I think in the circumstances that everybody's in, it's got to be each case on its merit. The argument is pushed around the world that it's appropriate for bankers and people like that to still receive their bonuses because we need those companies to be successful. I think we need all companies to be successful, and people need to be motivated. And if they are successful, then all workers, not just bankers, all workers should share in that success. They should be, rewarded for your efforts. We had an agreement on that we would be, and that agreement has been broken. And up until now, it's been broken because the Isle of Man Post Office has said that their government has told them they've got to break that agreement because there's a public sector pay freeze. We're now being told that they do have autonomy, and it's the first time we've actually heard that, and that they could actually do something different from the government, and it's each case on its merit. I'm not for one suggesting that other public sector workers should or should not be entitled to a pay rise. I'm dealing with this case. I'm looking at the case on its merits. I'm looking at the performance of the company. I'm looking at the finances. I'm looking at inflation. Inflation's continuing to go up on the island. And if the spending power of postal workers is constantly restricted or reduced, their standard of living reduced, then that's money that they're not spending on the Isle of Man, which benefits other employees or other companies on the Isle of Man. So there has to be a mature and an adult, logical approach to the future. I think everyone knows that we've got to be careful and we've got to be reasonable, but to just say nothing is available, to refuse to engage in an intellectual and detailed debate on each case on its merit, is not acceptable. We're only weeks away from submitting our 2011 pay claim. this is not the way to do business. Certainly when you set the stall out for the future with clear words and commitments to each other, which have now been broken.
You offered binding arbitration. Do you still stand by that if they want to go for that?
Yeah, we didn't only offer that. Excuse me. I think it's important to understand we offered because we have been accused by the executive team of the Isle of Man Post Office, not Alan Crowe, I hasten to add, but we have been accused of, or I have, of, because I'm based in the UK, which seems to me irrelevant, that I don't understand the relationship between the government and the post office and the situation. Well, if they genuinely believe I didn't understand, they could have done more to convince me, because we offered to go to the board and discuss the issue, and that was declined. We offered to go jointly to government and discuss the issue so that we could understand better and put our case, and that was declined. We went to conciliation, in effect, with the Industrial Relations Officer for the Isle of Man, and as a last resort, we offered to go to binding arbitration. We just couldn't have done any more to avoid a dispute, and all those have proved unsuccessful. 3 of them, which would have improved our understanding, were all declined. Those offers were not taken up. So we've got nowhere else to go if we've got this grievance other than to just say, oh, well, we accept it. And we're not going to accept it. The debate's not going away. It should be had. I don't mind if it's had in the glare of the full public. We had an agreement. We've been successful. Our members have been congratulated by the chief executive publicly and the chairman to say that the profits this year, which were increased, was done off the back of our members, and they should have a share in that success.
Finally, is there a will for industrial action in the Isle of Man, do you think, with your members?
No, I think there's a frustration. There's a sense of being undervalued. There's a sense of, some of the agreements we've made, we've had to culturally try and create a new culture of working in partnership to face the challenges that all post organisations are challenging. We've done everything in our power to make agreements to take us away from the adversarial type of industrial relations of the past. This takes us back into it, and it's purely because people are not prepared to deal with the case on its merit and have an intellectual debate about the situation, about the commitments we've made to each other, and about how we position the post office to go forward. Are we suggesting that a commercially focused statutory arm of government, we take absolutely no money out of government, in fact we contribute to it, so our success is crucial for the future contributions we make to the Isle of Man government? Are we suggesting going forward that we hope to maintain performance levels and profitability with a workforce that we don't reward? I think that's worthy of a much higher level debate than the one that's going on. We should be given that opportunity to have that debate. If we can't, and we refused every opportunity to do that which would avoid a dispute, especially binding arbitration, which would have meant there was no guarantees for us in that, and it would have meant that we would have had to accept the outcome. There'd have been no ballot, there would have been no dispute, and we could have took a lot of criticism from our members for that, but we made that move, which was a bold move, and have been refused it. The irony is the other public sector workers that could end up asking to go arbitration, with their agreements, if one party asks for it, they'll have to go to arbitration. So in terms of avoiding this dispute, I can't see what else we could have done. But we are not just going to accept our grievance not being heard.
Please subscribe to the Isle of Man TV archive channel. Thank you.